and member of the inaugural class of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, Junior Johnson.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Pleasure to bring in the guys who will be calling the race all season long. Our friends, colleagues, and the best of the business. Our 10th year with the gang, NASCAR on Fox. Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip, and Mike Joy. Welcome again, guys. You ready to go?
Thanks, Chris. Let's get to it. The first Daytona 500 in 1959 had a photo finish so close that Bill France and a team of photojournalists took 3 days to declare Lee Petty the winner. Here on Thursday, the two qualifying races were each decided, Darrell, in the blink of an eye. Any chance that we'll see anything different today?
Oh, yeah, we're going to see the same thing today. It's just going to take a little bit longer. You know, we've got to run 500 miles today, but I have never felt the energy. I've never felt the guys, everybody's so confident and so pumped up starting this new year. I've been down here a lot of times when everybody was kind of gloom and doom. Well, everybody's kind of like the day here. Bright, sunshiny future for us, and I'm excited about getting this thing started, man. The race has been so good, I can't wait to get it going.
Well, one little wrinkle about Thursday's qualifying race, Larry, late in the race, Jimmy Johnson was the leader, had the chance to come in and get tires, stayed out. Everybody else got tires, but they couldn't beat him.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would go down that format today because we've got a different racetrack. I talked to a lot of the guys in the garage area. The sun is beating down already. Right now, this track is 30 degrees warmer than it was in practice yesterday. And we've had 2 races that's been run since these guys was last on the track. So I think when these guys hit pit road, it's going to be for a lot of adjustments, and also you're going to want 4 tires. But here's what I really think. We've been talking about going back to the roots. I think on that last lap, we may see the boys go back to their roots.
All right, let's have a look at our FedEx Understanding the Race for today.
What you see is this is the averages of our last 9 Daytona 500s. The first caution normally comes out roughly around lap 29. The total number of cautions average of 7 per race. The longest green flag run, 64 laps, but twice in those 9 races, it's been over 100 laps. And the green flag laps to the finish around 16 to 17 laps. In 2004, when Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the 500, we ran the last 120 laps under green, caution-free.
43 of America's best drivers have waited all winter to drop the green flag on the great American race. Meet the Stevens family. They're breaking. Bill Elliott, Jeff Burton there. And these are drivers who raced their way in or have top 35 owner points from 2009. A lot of experience deep in the field. Max Pappas is one of 4 rookies in this race. Along with Michael McDowell, also starting his first 500. You'll see drivers that'll go to the rear. We'll explain that in a moment. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski, not the best of friends. Are they starting in lucky row 13 together? They're teammates and best friends, Kenseth and Biffle. Jeff Gordon will have to go to the back before they drop the green flag. Rudman, the winner at Charlotte last year. Ryan Newman, a past champion of the 500. And the Aussie, Ambrose. The Rookie of the Year, Logano. A.J. Allmendinger, late to the grid for an engine change. Martin Truex Jr. and Jamie McMurray in different rides for 2010. Elliott Sadler, Regan Smith's going to run the full season. Clint Boyer, with past 500 runner-up Kurt Busch. Kurt's younger brother Kyle, with one Paulo Montoya from Colombia. Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick, good friends, but Harvick's won this race, Stewart hasn't. Jimmy Johnson and Casey Kane, the Gatorade 150 winners. And winning the front row by time trials, Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Let's dial up Casey Kane and see how he's doing. Casey Kane, it's a DW Fox Sports booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I got you there.
Casey, I talked to a lot of people in the garage area. They say you're the man to beat today. How you feel? What's your opinion?
Well, I feel good. I think there's going to be about, I don't know, a few cars that are definitely really good all week long, and I think our Budweiser Ford's been one of them. So I've been anxious for the day. It's exciting to be here. We have a great crowd, and it should be a pretty intense race.
Yeah, got enough Clydesdales in that Ford engine to get her done?
Yeah, this Ford engine's been strong, very strong all week. We'll see what happens. It's been good though, and the car's handled awesome. It'll be handling today. There'll be some spread out times, and we just need to stay out of any issues and be there at the end. That's when you got to go for it.
Well, good luck and have a great day, and this Bud's for you.
All right, thank you.
Today's race is brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. 11 Mustang GT with the new 5.0 twin cam V8 and Richard Petty behind the wheel. At the Barrett-Jackson Auction on Speed Channel in January, Phoenix collector Ron Pratt bid $300,000, with the proceeds going to juvenile diabetes research, and he'll own that pace car after today. Built Ford tough, and it's the first time since Richard Petty has been in a Ford at Daytona since this picture was taken during time trials for 1969. Richard had just won the season opener at Riverside, California, driving a Ford Torino Talladega. The new Mustang, built Ford tough, and boy, that's a slick, shifting, hot, accelerating car. I was joking with Richard yesterday. He's got to remember to turn left and come on pit road. You'll want to run that thing right to the flag.
He checked. He wanted to know how much fuel they put in it, too. He might want to stay out a few extra laps.
Let's get out to our NASCAR on Fox All-Star pit crew, beginning with Steve Burns.
Thank you very much, Mike Joy. Dale Earnhardt Jr. last year, the only one of the 4 Hendrick Motorsports drivers not to make NASCAR's version of the playoffs, the chase. Crew Chief Lance McGrew is saying this week it is critically important to get out of the box strong here at the Daytona 500. Last second instructions, Lance McGrew told Dale Jr., be careful getting off pit road. It's very slick. Dick Berggren.
Well, Kyle Busch led the most laps in last year's Daytona 500, but he didn't win it. The year before, he led the most laps in the Daytona 500. Didn't win that one either. Moments ago, he told me he is going to play it very cool this year, just going to take what the car will give him and nothing more. Kyle Busch starts 7th. Not Yoakum.
Okay, Kurt Busch has seen some many exciting moments here in the Daytona 500. Unfortunately for his racing resume, he has finished second 3 different times, but he thinks today could be the Blue Deuce's day. What impressed him the most about his race car, it didn't matter if it was new tires or old tires. He could go anywhere. It was a rocket ship, and he thinks that could play into pit strategy near race's end. Krista?
Carl Edwards has 2 reasons to be a ball of nerves right now. His wife, Kate, is due to give birth to their first child in 4 days, and he's racing with an engine that hasn't had any practice. Carl is hoping both the motor and his wife can hold out till the end of this race.
You saw Carl acknowledge the flag man, giving the 1-to-go signal. The light is out atop the safety car.
Mike, down here already this week, Mark Martin has driven 635 miles, and Tony Stewart has already driven almost 900 miles, not counting today.
Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the front row. AmpUpThe88.com is the new destination. For Junior Nation, Dale Jr. fans, join a live chat this Wednesday with Dale Jr. at 7 p.m. only at AmpUpThe88.com. There you sit so low in these cars the driver cannot see any of the 4 fenders. How do you convince that driver to keep those 4 fenders intact?
Well, we saw in the Gatorade Dual races, when you knock just the slightest dent in one of those fenders or in a quarter panel behind the rear tires, it kills the aerodynamics. You've got to convince it, and I totally agree with Jeff Hammond in his keys. Number 1, trust that spotter and believe in that spotter. He's your second pair of eyes.
And it's sort of a sixth sense, Mike. You just know where those things are.
Today's race is 200 laps, 500 miles. The speed limit down pit road, 55 miles an hour, and they'll have to pit just about every 100 miles for fuel, Sunoco race gas, and tires.
And I think they'll be wanting tires well before that. You see to the rear for the backup cars, the 24, the 31, and Michael Waltrip, the 51. Those were cars that were crashed in the dual races. 2 engine changes after practice yesterday, Carl Edwards and A.J. Allmendinger.
Start of a new season, Darrell. Inside those 43 cars, butterflies?
Oh, yeah. I don't care how many times you've been coming down here, 25 times this is Mark Martin coming to take the green here today. You still get very, very nervous and very, very tense because you never know what's going to happen on these starts.
advice I can give you? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Again, I just want to get this thing started. I know it's going to be so much fun to watch and do. And here they come. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Bump drafting will be very prevalent down that backstretch today, and Mark Martin has just gotten a punt and a push into the lead.
That was by his teammate Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car. Everybody wants to lead the first lap of the new season. It'll be worth 5 points. Who will lead it?
Ageless Mark Martin. And the number 5, Hendrick Chevrolet, comes across the line with his teammate Jimmy Johnson looking out. That opens the door on the bottom for Kevin Harvick.
What was that commercial they used about Mark? Crazy old man. Crazy old man is on the gas.
So they fanned out just a little bit at the start of that thing, but it didn't take them long to get bunched back up.
I already see something kind of odd though, and I think rather interesting. I believe there's a group of guys that maybe are going to lay back a little bit here in these opening laps, because the opening laps of all the races we've had down here have been a little bit wild and crazy.
Martin will lead lap 2 from Jimmy Johnson. Kevin Harvick is there alongside Dale Jr. and right behind Harvick, Kyle Busch with Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, and Clint Boyer.
And Mike, sir, unlike the other events here, 150 milers or the Bud Shootout, we got a long way to go here. We got a long race to run. Don't push the issue right now. Give and take as much as you have to keep the fenders on it, like we said.
We've got a lot of pit stops to make on pit road.
It's not right now. Don't worry about it. We can help you. We'll fix it for you. Give your team a chance. Give your crew a chance.
Martin up to the high side to hold his lead.
Now, fans at home, I know every now and then we're going to be in the cars. You'll hear the engines, but the thing that the engine is so different this year is you can let out of the throttle, not hit the guy in front of you, and kick the throttle back up. And keep going. You don't lose all that momentum like we have in the past. Let's see if we can hear that in the corner here. We're actually riding with Kyle Busch, and he never lets up, so that may not have been the right one.
Darryl, you've been talking all week long about the speeds going down to turn 3. You can see right there, halfway down the back straightaway, well over 190 miles an hour, even in the middle of 3 and 4.
And for the lead, here comes Casey Kane, winner of his Gatorade dual race on Thursday that set the field for the 500. And Casey Kane will lead the 4th lap. No, he doesn't. Mark Martin right back by him.
Mark got that push on the high side by his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 and did not let Casey Kane lead that lap.
Well, that's the 4th lap of the race. Folks, at about 180, 200 laps, you're going to see that same kind of run to the finish.
There will come a point when Martin wants to find out how his number 5 works back in traffic, but he's not ready to give up the point just yet.
Safest place to be right now is right out front. Nothing in your rear, in your windshield.
Tony Stewart has moved up to 4th, ahead of Jimmy Johnson's 2nd car on the inside road.
And Mike, this is when the cars are at their very, very best. Right now, they're on new tires, full of fuel, pretty comfortable right now, even though you're too wide.
Steve Burns is in the pits of the defending Sprint Cup champ.
Mike Chadkanhouse, Jimmy Johnson's crew chief on that 48, echoed Darrell Waltrip's comments this morning. He said, there's not going to be any riding around in the back for us. We are fastest up front. They led practice yesterday, ran just 12 laps. He said, we're going to be in the top 10 all day.
You know, guys, we've seen that a lot at Talladega Superspeedway because everybody's car drives good for all of the race, but the way this place is so rough and the cars get to handle that, I'm just not sure running at the back is that good of a strategy.
Got to be in the way back.
Way back.
Yeah, because we've seen guys from, back in the field get what was happening in front of him.
Let's get down to the leaders pit. Matt Yoakum.
And Mark Martin echoed exactly what Larry Mack just said. He felt like from all that he's learned from the duels back in the Budweiser shootout last weekend, that if you get stuck in the back, unlike years past when you can drop to the back and ride, you cannot do that with this package. Much more difficult to try to work your way back to the front.
Thanks, Matt. Fastest lap of this young race so far as Kurt Busch pokes his nose out down low, and that blue news is the number 7, Robbie Gordon. He's up to 21st. Joey Logano inside challenging. The number 7 has the quickest lap of the race, 46.17. Jeff Gordon second fastest, then Keselowski.
That's 100. I think that's about 195 miles an hour somewhere along in there.
Casey Kane now in the second.
Got a smoker down in turn 1, guys.
Car spins and gets collected down off the banking between turns 1 and 2. Regan Smith is in it. Brad Keselowski and Keselowski's teammate, the 77 Sam Hornish, are all involved.
And I mean, Jeff Gordon in that 24 just squeaked by.
And, you know, most of the wrecks we've seen down here have actually started mid-pack and back.
First caution of the day. Oh, Max Pappas from Como, Italy. His first 500. He's on the apron.
Another one.
And Sam Hornish, IndyCar star. There is Gordon. No apparent damage to the left side of his Chevy. And Regan Smith, young driver from outside Syracuse, New York. Boris Said has his car torn up.
I don't know if it lost an engine or I'm not sure a tire or something happened. I looked over in the turn 1 there and there's smoke. You see the smoke.
Right behind the yellow car is the number 12 of Keselowski. You see him just get a little loose right there. Gets up into the wall, collects Smith and Hornish.
I believe that 12 car had something happen to it. Like it may have lost a right rear tire or something. There's really no reason for it to step out like that.
So Roger Penske had 3 cars in this race, and that gets 2 of them, the 12 and the 77. There you see Gordon just squeaking by in that 24.
Remember, Carl Edwards is one of those who had to start this race at the back of the pack due to changes.
Right here. A lot of slow it down.
He goes to the apron to ride through this off the 31-degree banking.
There's one thing about a car here. It's going to go up the hill, it's going to go down the hill, and it just might go back up the hill. So you got to miss it twice if you try to go low.
Keselowski and Hornish have taken their cars to the garage. Some of the others have come to pit road for repair, like Max Pappas. And we're under the first caution of the day in Daytona, 8 laps in to the 200 that will make up today's race. Mike Bliss also got a piece of that one.
Yeah, he did. I saw the 36 car limp in there, Mike. He was torn up pretty good.
8 laps complete. A little early for pit stops.
For the front runners, but there you see Casey Kane. He makes the commitment in the 9 car, and everyone else follows him down. Looks like Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Montoya stayed out in Kristen.
Casey Kane says his car is loose all the way through. How are they going to fix it? By going a half round down on the left rear jack bolt. Dick.
Kyle Busch going to take 4 tires, no adjustment to the chassis on his race car.
Jimmy Johnson's team fitting 4 tires. Steve?
4 tires for Jimmy Johnson. Chassis adjustment as well, Mike. He said the majority of the time I was on the bottom, I couldn't get to the top. Matt.
And the 2 of Kurt Busch service already complete on his car. He was pretty pleased with the balance.
Most of the leaders came to pit road. We'll update the running order in a moment. Caution out on 10 laps at Daytona as you watch from our aerial coverage provided to you by DirecTV. DirecTV, it'll change your life. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Earnhardt Jr. and Juan Montoya did not pit under that caution. Kevin Harvick did not pit. He did come on pit road to have his scoring transponder replaced, but that was a NASCAR official move that gave him his position back. There's Jimmy Johnson, defending series champion, in 15th position in the 48, who started his racing career off-road in a Chevy truck. That's why he's excited to give you a chance to win a powerful, dependable Chevy Silverado. Go to winjimmysilverado.com for your chance to win. Yesterday, the nationwide race and the Camping World Truck Race, total of 79 cars, 49 of which, more than half of the two total fields, caught up in accidents. We've now had the first one, and we now see Carl Edwards back in the pits. Kristen?
Yeah, Mike, they had to clean off the grill. The water temperature was going way up, so they just came in to get some of that debris off the front end of the car.
Mike, one thing I don't like about not pitting with everybody else, it's okay right now. We only run 8-10 laps here, but it puts me at a disadvantage if we go back green racing and we stay green for a while. These other guys we've seen 10 laps on tires does make a difference. So I would have liked to come down with everybody else at this point in the race. There's no time to really be gambling, I don't think.
There you see our weather, 54 degrees ambient. That track temperature is 79 degrees. I talked about that at the top of the show. That's about 30 degrees warmer than what we had at that final practice yesterday morning. And this is our first time NASCAR on Fox to have the double file restart, and Mark Martin's the leader, and he gets a choice, outside line or inside line, and he played around a lot with that in the Gatorade Dual Race on Thursday. He's elected to choose the inside line. Everyone else, the odd number of cars where they're running, is an inside, even numbers on the outside.
Most of the time, I'm going to look in my mirror. If I'm the leader, I'm going to look in my mirror and I'm going to say, who would I line up? Who would line up behind me? That's what I'd be looking at right now. That'd be the line I'd want to get in. And who is that behind him? Tony Stewart?
That's actually Montoya in the 42.
First time that a Ford Mustang has ever paced the Daytona 500, and the first Ford in front of the field in 40 years. It was a 1970 Ford Torino that last paced the 500 for the Blue Oval, and here we go. 12 laps complete this time by green flag. Mark Martindale Jr. right up front, just like we started.
And you see that inside line, it's getting a pretty good push there. The momentum will come back as they get down here in turn one. Those cars that go high will get a little bit of a run onto the back straightaway that could help. Nothing would help if he jumped out there like Mark Martin did. Man, he took off.
Montoya, who has not been the least bit bashful about bump drafting all week here in Daytona, puts his number 42 out front.
Yeah, the bump draft in these cars really works well because you've got a flat nose against a flat rear bumper. And so you don't upset the car in front of you when you bump into it. You just give it a shove.
Boy, Dale Earnhardt Jr. jumped to the inside in that 88. Kevin Harvick in the 29 jumped down there, pushes Earnhardt Jr. to the lead.
Talked to Lance McGrew, Larry. He said, I'm telling you, DW. I said, you got him fixed up. He wasn't very good at a qualifier. He said, we got him right today. You watch.
For many years now, NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., leads him around Daytona. Montoya gives him a foot or so. See if he comes down to pick up Harvick here. Steve?
Mike, when the caution came out, Dale Earnhardt Jr. told Lance McGrew, I don't think I gained much by pitting. He said the car's pretty good right now, a little bit loose, but to Darrell's point, he said if it doesn't get any looser.
Normally if your car is drivable loose, that's okay, you're happy, and you can see, look, he's got his hands, he doesn't, remember that day we were watching, he had them hands way down there, all the way under and touching his leg almost. Today, and watch how he does his right hand. A little bit confusing when you see how much grip or how much wheel he's got in it, because he takes that right hand and slides it over the top of the wheel. Watch him as we get down here in the corner, but so far that car looks very comfortable.
Well, Darrell, you say it all the time. You can live with the little bit of loose as long as it's predictable and not doing two different things.
And normally a little bit of a loose car will tighten up. Larry burns off a little fuel, tires build up a little bit. So I think he's pretty happy with that car at this point.
Mark Martin has been stuck in the middle. Elliott Sadler in the 19 made the move underneath, and here comes Newman and Kenseth and everybody.
Clown to the left of me and Jokers to the right. Here I am.
Stuck in the middle without anybody.
Without anybody.
Back, and then he'll find a spot in line.
That's okay. You watch. This will be a good guy to watch. Although I'm not sure Mark will be in any hurry to get back up in the front. Once he gets in the back, he'll probably stay there. But let's see if he works his way back up to the front and how long it takes him.
Well, he was waiting for that spotter right above us to say clear outside or clear inside. And he jumped to the outside line there behind Robbie Gordon in the 7.
Big Dale Earnhardt, he used to do that. He'd fall in the back and he'd say, oh, he's junk. You don't worry about him anymore. And he would just go back there and work his way to the front. He'd do that all day long, timing it, seeing how long it took him.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads the Daytona 500 with Juan Pablo Montoya, who has won in IndyCar. He's won the Indy 500. He's won in Formula One at Monaco. He's won at Infineon Raceway, the road course, in these Sprint Cup cars. He's in the 42. And here comes Harvick, in the 29.
Where's Hammond at?
Why?
Well, I picked Harvick to win today. And of course, they're a long way from the end. But he took the 9, I took the 29. What do you think now, bud?
It's 500 miles, baby. Just remember, it's a long, long way. My man's back here just kind of minding his P's and Q's.
Yeah, this is no race to go backwards in.
Elliott Sadler, second car on the inside row, came within one green flag lap of winning last year's Daytona 500. He couldn't hold off Matt Kenseth, and then the rains came.
But I'm a little bit worried because Harvick usually doesn't show up near the front until about 5 to go normally.
Matt?
Mike, when you talk to different drivers throughout the field, they'll always point out a certain driver that really taught them how to draft and run restrictor plate racing. For Elliott Sadler, it was his longtime teammate Dale Jarrett. He says the biggest thing I learned, patience. Don't make any erratic moves, so that way you upset someone else. They won't work with you at the end. Patience has been the key for me to save my stuff to the end. That's why I've had so many good runs in restrictor plate racing.
But you know, Matt, I'm going to be watching that 19 car of Elliott Sadler and the 17 car of Matt Kenseth, the car and the team that won this race a year ago, along with Bill Elliott in the 21. Ford has a new race engine, the FR9, and those 3 teams are the only 4 teams that are racing that engine here in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, Kenseth just said they put the old engine in my car. It didn't run as good as this engine. And so he insisted on running this new engine, even though it's questionable at this point. They ran them at Talladega, and they did pretty well with it.
26 cars in the lead draft, 40 cars on the lead lap. 3 in the garage, Brad Keselowski, Regan Smith, and Sam Hornick.
There you can hear they're playing with the throttle just a little bit there on Truex.
You know what a lot of crew chiefs were telling me, Darrell, we were talking about them rolling out of the throttle. A lot of times to enhance the bump draft, they stay wide open and just sit up there and drag the brake a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Out front at 19 laps, the 2000 winner of the 500, Kevin Harvick.
Get that checkered flag ready. Stick around for more NASCAR on Fox.
Capacity crowd at Daytona International Speedway, nearly 200,000 strong, watching Kevin Harvick hold the lead at 23 laps. Harvick was the 2007 Daytona 500 winner in a thrilling finish with Mark Martin that saw Clint Boyer going end over end across the stripe. But Harvick has not been back to victory lane in a Sprint Cup points race since February 07.
Yeah, 2 Budweiser shootout wins, and finished second
a year ago, and he won the All-Star race, the Sprint All-Star race in 2007.
3 cars in the garage from that crash at lap 9. Here's Dick Berggren.
Okay, Brad Keselowski starting his very first ever Daytona 500 in the garage with the car bent up. How bad is that piece?
It's really bad. Tore the whole right side off, broke the brake calipers, and messed up the toe so it doesn't drive straight. Just one of the deals. You come here to Daytona and you spend 2 weeks working on your car and polishing it and making it the best you can, and just little tweaks here and there. We had an awesome Penske Dodge Charger and didn't even get a chance. Blew out a right rear tire there. By the looks of the carcass of the tire, what we were able to see there, ran over something. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the tires, just caught a bad brake.
Well, the crew's not giving up. They're working on his automobile, going to try to get him back out again.
William Smith and Kozlowski's teammate Sam Hornish, also in the garage.
We haven't seen a lot of tire failures or any tire problem necessarily. We saw that on the 31 car and I think the 07, two children's cars. Overall, tires have been pretty dependable down here.
Riding with Denny Hamlin, there is Jeff Burton right alongside. Let's check with Matt on the 5th place car, Montoya.
Mike, JPM was one of 4 drivers to stay out and not pit for tires. Juan reported to Brian Patty about 5 laps ago. He says, just so you know, we are totally out of control out here on old tires.
Well, and I think that's why we saw all those guys hit pit road about lap 9, as we've seen that all week long. And as I pointed out, this racetrack is probably the slickest it's been all week long today.
Well, the guys that stayed out when the caution came out are dropping like rocks. So you got to get tires right now. The track might get better, and you might be able to pull that off later when it means something. It doesn't mean anything right now. So I'd come get tires every chance I got. How about it, Bernsey?
Mike, Kevin Harvick was just asked by crew chief Gil Martin, what you got, Kevin? How's your car? One-word answer, loose.
Well, loose is fast because he's leading this thing.
And right behind him, Kurt Busch, who has been the runner-up in the Daytona 500, 3 times a bridesmaid, pushed his teammate Ryan Newman to victory lane. Look who's got a run on the outside. They are not teammates, although Stewart's team, the 14, shares technology and engines with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Hendrick Motorsports, but it seems that these two, the 14 and the 88, if there's a chance for them to hook up on the racetrack, they'll run nose to tail.
Been pretty good dancing partners through the last few years here. They like to work together. They kind of know each other's style and what to expect. That's a big deal right there. What the guy in front of you is going to do, where he's going to go.
Trust is important at 190 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's like, you don't want to dance with somebody keeps stepping on your feet. Well, they seem to be able to have that figured out.
Tony Stewart won the Nationwide Series race here yesterday. That's 15 wins total at this speedway in everything imaginable, with the exception of the Daytona 500.
And like I said it in the pre-race show, Tony Stewart's career right now here, and particularly here at Daytona, is so reminiscent of Dale Sr. Dale Sr. would win every preliminary event we'd have down here, but then when he comes Sunday, it's like he was out of luck, like he drained the luck bank empty.
Kevin Harvick, your leader after 28 laps. The A-Team comes to the big screen. He opens in theaters June 11th. 31 complete in the Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler, and now Busch wants the lead up in turn number 4.
The only thing I can think about, why would you do that when you're just gapped the cars behind you? But maybe that 2-car of Kurt Busch, it maybe be getting a little warm, needs to get a little air in the radiator.
Behind them, Elliott Sadler third. His teammate Casey Kane has fallen back to 12th, however. Krista?
Mike, a little while ago, you mentioned the word trust. There's also a trust in your teammates. Yes, Casey has slid back. Why? Well, listen to what he said on his radio a few laps ago.
I said, I don't know why Elliott didn't just stay in front of me. He went up in front of Harvick. He could be leading the race right now.
And that's Casey Kane with a confidence and actually a little bit of a swagger on the radio that we haven't heard in years past. He feels like he has a very good race car. He said it's a little loose, but not as bad as the others on the track right now.
Thanks, Krista. Now you'll see Elliott Sadler move up and pick up Kevin Harvick instead of staying with his teammate, the number 9.
Well, whatever Elliott did, I kind of like, because he's running second, and Casey has slid back to 9th. So I think Elliott just went with the best, what worked best for him.
Or couldn't hold his car to the bottom. Who knows?
Probably.
And that whole outside lane went right past. No wonder Casey's raising Kane.
But yeah, it kept him right at the bottom, and no one jumped in behind him. Now you see him jump up behind Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car.
But just in about 3 laps, those first 3 cars had about a 1.5 second lead on Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. Kurt Busch decided to do a little racing, and when he did, it caught everybody back up.
I'm going to tell you who's also doing some marching up and racing is Elliott Sadler and Casey Kane's teammate A.J. Allmendinger in that 43 car. Remember, A.J. started tailing Charlie because of an engine change. Looked good the other day in the dual race. He has worked himself to the top 10 in 34 laps. A.J. had one top 5 finish last year. It was third right here in the Daytona 500.
And he didn't hold back. He's one of those kind of drivers that gets up there and says, "How you like me now?" Because that's what he's looking for. He don't, you know, he's not thinking about points, purse. He's just thinking about being out in front.
Big responsibility carrying the king of stock car racing's number. That's Richard Petty's 43. That's one of the Richard Petty Motorsports 4-car team that switched to Ford this year. Petty a 7-time winner, and Petty Enterprises a 9-time winner of the 500. Kurt Busch puts his number 2 in the wind ahead of Kevin Harvick and Elliott Sadler.
I think that might have been Kevin Harvick saying, "Look, dude, if you're going to run out there all day long and let everybody catch back up, I'll let you in front of me, but I don't really think you want to. I think it was a necessity."
35 laps in, let's get a little preview on pit stops, Matt.
Mike, 3 of the 4 cars that stayed out of that last caution, while Pablo Montoya, the 88 of Dale Jr., and the 5 of Pulsar Mark Martin, they are about 4 laps away from pitting. They've all discussed what lap they wanted to pit on. The concern for Montoya, he may have a tire going away. They told him if it starts to vibrate too bad, hit pit road no matter what, Steve.
Matt, Kevin Harvick just asked crew, "How long do I have to stay out here? I've gotten really loose." They said about 13 more laps.
There, you mentioned A.J. Allmendinger. What's he got, overdriving that thing? I mean, he was 20th when I first saw him, 10th when you mentioned him, and all of a sudden he's up to 4th place.
I mean, he had a good driving race car in the dual race. Qualifying a week ago, it wasn't that fast by itself, but they've got that car driving good for him.
Let's take a quick break and then come back for pit stops. 36 laps complete. You're watching the Daytona 500 on Fox.
Sponsored by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do.
For more than 50 years, cars raced on the hard-packed sands of Daytona Beach, with NASCAR beginning there in 1949. The action was just as hot on the beach as it's been on this new speedway since 1959. Dale Jr., Paulo Montoya, and Mark Martin have made their pit stops under green.
And unfortunately, with the 42 and the 5 being down there pitting side by side, it kind of held their pit stops up. But you at Daytona and Talladega with the carburetor restrictor plate, we see how much faster cars run hooked up in a line. You have to have dancing partners when you come to pit road. We get to California next week, your hopes are you make a green flag stop with no one on pit road.
One thing I did notice, though, everybody was really cautious. They have learned that these pit boxes are probably the slickest pit boxes in racing, with all the oil and dirt and grime that's built up in those boxes.
So Kurt Busch is the leader. A.J. Allmendinger, the former open-wheel road racer, has wheeled his way right up to 2nd place. Kevin Harvick holding 3rd. Elliott Sadler in a tight draft on Harvick. Jimmy Johnson in a bit of a gap back to Casey Kane in 6th.
And what we'll see, all of these cars made pit stops on lap 9. I'm going to say probably within the next 6 to 8 to 9 laps, everyone else will come to pit road. That's when it gets hairy on pit road with a lot of cars on there at one time.
The spacing's pretty good, though, for those front guys, so they'll be able to kind of not run over each other, and that's what usually happens when you try to get them all on at one time.
So here's outside pole sitter Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, trying to hang on to the tail end of the lead lap and not go one lap down.
2 there. Careful with the 2. There you go. Make it push you. And the 43 right with him. Make it push you.
Steve?
Mike, just want to update you on Dale Jr.'s pit stop. He said that his car was loose, but on the bottom of the racetrack, it was neutral. So they made a wedge adjustment to help tighten him up.
One car I noticed it's pretty good on old tires, and he proved that in the qualifying race. It's that 48 car. Right now, right here at the end of the run, when everybody's getting ready to pit, his car is one of the faster cars on the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson in the 48. He's right behind these 3 cars here, but looks like it's good on a long run.
Now, if a caution were to come out, NASCAR allows the first car 1 1 lap down to get the free pass and rejoin the lead lap. Here's Brad Keselowski coming back on track after the lap 9 accident.
Yeah, Montoya is the first car lap down, and what he wants to see right now is Earnhardt Jr. and the 88 stay in front of the leaders. That way Dale would be back on the lead lap. Montoya would be the first car and get that free pass. Should the caution come out, but these boys are going to be on pit road pretty quickly here.
And that right there, the 88 and the 2 both, that shows you the difference in fresh tires and kind of older tires. When you got good tires on, you run around the bottom. When they go away late in the run, you start rim riding a little bit. See, the 2 car will go high. Junior will run the bottom, and he'll really gap the 2 off of turn 4 here because he can hold it wide open around the bottom the shortest distance.
44 laps complete. 106 miles.
Well, you know,
500.
a lot of times in a race, you'd be a little nervous about your fuel mileage or other things, but we have been down here so much, so long. These guys have run so many laps and so many races, they know exactly how far they can go.
If we were in the Hollywood Hotel, we'd ring the bell for the new leader. Ding, ding. A.J. Allmendinger.
I want it.
If he can keep that lead and lead this lap at the finish line, start-finish line, it'll be the first lap he's led. He didn't even lead a lap last year in 2009.
There's a lap that fit out there, guys. There's always a surprise. Every year you come to Daytona, it's pretty predictable. Yeah, this guy's going, that guy's going, but there's always one guy that you say, where'd he come from?
Pit stops have begun under green now for the cars that stopped early in the race. Clint Boyer will be the first of those as he brings his Richard Childress Racing Chevy to the pit lane. Matt?
And Boyer, one of those drivers slipping and sliding out there. Look for the chassis adjustment. You can see the wrench going in the back window. Significant adjustment for the 33 of Boyer. 4 tire change going on. Remember, he's had a rough speed weeks. Not only having an incident in his teammate's car, but also this one, and he's away.
He'll lose a lap to the race leader, A.J. Allmendinger, but that whole lead pack is going to need a pit stop very soon. A.J. Allmendinger is leading the Daytona 500. Steve?
And Mike, A.J. Allmendinger's update to his crew, it's not as bad as it was on the Thursday races, still a little bit tight. Mike, his concern is he's getting a little bit hot, the radiator that is.
And that's what blew their engine up in practice. They got it too hot yesterday, and they had to change.
That's what makes it really fast, too. You take that grill up, that baby's going to be a little quicker than everybody else. Question is, for how long?
Jay from Los Gatos, California, outside San Francisco. We're going to the left coast next week. 2 p.m. Eastern on Fox. There is Kurt Busch running in second. He's been in the top 5 almost the whole race, Matt.
And Mike, they were about 3 laps away from making their next scheduled pit stop. The guys are stretching here in the pits, getting ready to service the car. Kurt said, I'm really not sure what to tell you. It's just on the edge of either being tight or too free. Right now, though, he can still run the bottom or run the middle at will.
And that's almost one of those situations where I believe I just put 4 tires on her, don't do anything to slow the stop down. Let's see if it repeats the next run. Looks like he wants this lead back, though, before this pit stop. Kurt Busch, the 2 car, takes the lead back from A.J. Allmendinger. But, you know, for making green flag stops, I like the way those 2 cars are running right now with Kurt leading, because as they come on pit road, Kurt's pit is on down pit road from A.J. Allmendinger.
Martin Truex on pit road, David Rudiman, Marcus Ambrose, Max Pappas, and Michael Waltrip in the pit lane. Krista?
David Rudiman took 2 tires on the last stop, so you see the crew work coming around to make 4. He said that he's just a little bit free on exit, but good.
And Michael McDowell, who you see on the left side of the box on the right, now just coming into his pit. All of those drivers pitting on lap 49.
This place is tough to get on the pit road under green flag stop. tops. You know, you're out there running 190 miles an hour. These guys don't run the biggest brake package because it's less rotated weight, and you're trying to get down to 55 miles per hour. In fact, here comes a group right now.
Bobby Labonte is in. The blue car is Travis Quapple, and behind them, John Andretti. All of these are mid to back of the pack cars making stops here at lap 50. Robert Richardson is in. Bill Elliott in that red Wood Brothers car. Glenn Wood waved the green flag for this race, and Joe Nemechek is in.
You know, I don't like to keep harping about this, but people forget that there was a 24-hour race here 2 weeks ago. And even those cars coming on the pit road, and certainly the pit boxes and shape they're in, those guys were here racing for 24 hours. They left a lot of grime and dirt behind.
Here come the leaders. Kurt Busch, A.J. Allmendinger, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, Elliott Sadler, and more. Krista.
Casey Kane said his car is just a little loose. Kenny Francis said, "You want the track bar down a round?" He said, "No, I'm fine." And then he changed his mind and said, "Put it down a half round," trying to tighten up his car. Steve.
The 43 keeps getting tighter and tighter. They're going to make sure right now they scrape that grill. Matt.
And a track bar adjustment already completed on the 2 of Kurt Busch, so they're trying to make an adjustment on that car. Meanwhile, the 14 of Stewart, he's getting an air pressure change. Also, they were discussing a chassis adjustment as well. They pulled a piece of tape off the nose of the 14. He's away.
That was over a third of the field on pit road there at lap 50.
And very orderly, I might say.
And the leader has become last year's Rookie of the Year, Joey Logano. He is going to surrender the front spot to pit, as will Robbie Gordon, Denny Hamlin, and Jeff Burton. Mike Bliss, top of your screen, coming in with them. Dick.
Joey Logano, he's run in 3 different races so far this Speed Weeks, and in all 3 he has finished in the 7th position. Car has been tight, and that's been the characteristic of everything he has run here so far at Daytona during Speed Weeks. Trouble on Logano's car, the hub is on fire as they're trying to get the wheel on.
Daryl, I think that was done as he jumped on those brakes trying to get on the pit road. It looks like the left front and the right front had some flame.
Yeah, the brake pads, sometimes if you get a little debris in there, like rubber buildup from the tires, it'll get caught in the rotors, and when you heat those brakes up, it'll catch them on fire, but it'll go right back out.
Well, we cycle back around after green flag pit stops, and Kurt Busch, driving for Roger Penske, is once again the leader. Richard Petty's driver A.J. Allmendinger in second, and Rick Hendrick's driver Jimmy Johnson in third. Hot time in Daytona today.
Just over a quarter of the way through the Daytona 500, 10 leaders already. The record for this race, 18, and time for an AT&T race break. Your leader is Kurt Busch, who has 3 times been runner-up in the Daytona 500, and a guy who was going to take a job at a drugstore to help his mom out. He had worked in pharmaceuticals, but instead found interest in racing and made his way through. The guy right behind him, A.J. Allmendinger, is a guy whose parents had to mortgage the family home to keep him in racing when he was a kid, so 3 of the 4 Petty cars have led. A.J. Allmendinger did not lead a race last year. He's led 3 already, and right now, Kurt Busch ahead of A.J., and moving up is Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson as we're inside the Hollywood Hotel, along with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, keeping an eye on things. You heard the discussion with the guys upstairs. Jeff, you have tape on your nose. I guess that's the best way to
Yeah, that's the best way to start right now, Chris, because tape is so important. And the thing is, folks, we talk about the cars running hot, but also when you add tape to the car, this is about a quarter of an inch of tape. Taking this piece of tape off to make the car run cooler could effectively change the handling of the race car dramatically, Chris. A lot of the drivers have told me, especially the guys who have been driving the Fords, have noticed that an 1/8 of an inch of tape could make it feel like you got 2 brand new front tires on the car. Make it have that much more grip. So when you start having heating problems, and Larry's been talking about the way the weather is today and track conditions, if they have to give up that kind of downforce, they could have a handling problem for the rest of the day, and that could be a really big deal. But the key thing is, if you don't keep the engine cool,
hey, you're going to wind up blowing the engine, be behind the pit wall.
And we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, Jeff bringing this up from the cutaway car down below at the Hollywood Hotel. The AT&T fastest pit crew of the year is back. Last year's winner was Jeff Gordon and the 24th crew. We haven't talked a lot about Gordon today. And AT&T in the winning pit crew, $20,000 donated to Kyle Petty's Victory Junction Camp. You can play your part this year. All you have to do from your AT&T phone, text the car number for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable at each race. Text it 2258. That's 2258, delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network.
Three-car breakaway, but here's the second pack, including those teammates, Kane and Elliott Sadler in the 19, and that is part of about a 10-car, kind of loosely put together draft. Green flag pit stops have broken this field up a bit.
I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but I'm a little confused. I don't understand what's going on here today. It's got to be the weather. It's got to be because the track's hotter, slicker. We haven't seen this kind of separation amongst the cars in a week. Every race we've had down here, they've just been laying on top of each other, 2, 3, 4 wide. Today, you're able to get a couple, 3 cars hooked up and kind of get a little away from the other guys, and I'm surprised.
You know, you're looking over there at Carl Edwards in that 99 car. He's worked his way into the top 10, and of course, he was another car like A.J. Allmendinger that had to go to the rear of the field. And they, even on that first caution, they came back to pit road to make some adjustments to the tape, top that thing off of fuel. But Bob Osborne, the crew chief, kept him in sync by pitting him with all those other cars. But another car I've been watching that fell back at the start of the race is that 18 car, Kyle Busch. Now he has made his way, Dick, back to the top 5.
Yeah, Kyle Busch is running in the 4th position right now, and they have been struggling with that race car since they got here, but it seems as if they've got it pretty well dialed in. He's got a lot of rear grip, but he has said that he's afraid that he's got so much rear grip that he might abuse it somehow or another. He calls it the Atlantis syndrome, where the rear tires spin unintentionally, and they wind up getting burned off. He's trying to avoid that while holding his speed.
You know, Darrell, the Toyotas, they've just not made a lot of noise down here during speed weeks. They've been okay, but they hadn't been real good compared to the competition.
God, I'm really surprised because, the last couple of years down here, of course, it might have something to do with the way they're handling more than it is the way they're running. But the last couple of years down here, they've been the cars to beat, but they haven't shown the steam or the speed this year.
Another surprise is that you have to go all the way back to 20th spot to find Jeff Gordon, a 3-time winner of the 500, and he has the most restrictor plate wins of anybody in this field with 12. But his best plate finish in his last 8 races at either Daytona or Talladega is 13. Only 2 drivers have won more 500s than Gordon. Cale Yarborough with 4 and Richard Petty with 7.
And Larry, I'm a little bit concerned. The 48 cars seem to always get it figured out. But the 24 and the 88, they seem to struggle over the long run. They seem to have cars that run pretty good on new tires for a few laps, but they can't run like 48 does on the long run.
They have a tough time putting together the beginning, the middle, and the end.
62 laps. Kurt Busch has never won a race at Daytona International Speedway. Could today be the day?
Stay tuned for more NASCAR on Fox.
Caution is out at Daytona International Speedway.
Turn 4 down here, it's the Joe Nemechek car.
Joe has had a pretty hard hit.
What was that all about?
Sounds like he's not happy.
Good question. The unsponsored Toyota of Nemechek. Well, I say unsponsored. He picked up England Stoves there yesterday.
Yeah, they heard Joe's story, and they really liked Joe, and they decided to jump on his car for the race today.
See what happened to the 87.
I mean, Hornish, the 77, did not get against him. He just got loose. Hornish just went back out on the racetrack a few laps ago after being in the garage.
You've seen that a little bit down here. If your car is loose and somebody kind of gets under that left rear quarter panel, it seems like it'll almost just blow you around. I think it's that big shark fin, possibly.
Well, and you know, Darrell, at the speeds these guys are running, if you're a little bit loose,
yeah,
it doesn't take much.
he might have even looked in the mirror to see where he was and, like got behind there for a second. You just don't know.
Second caution of the day comes out right at 1/3 distance, lap 67. With Kurt Busch the leader, A.J. Allmendinger second. Four-time reigning Sprint Cup champ Jimmy Johnson in third. Nemechek also had a short day yesterday in the Nationwide Series race, and in both events, he is not only the driver, he is also the car owner.
Well, he got his car torn up yesterday in the Nationwide race, and here he is today with the same problem. So that's not good for an underfunded team trying to make it.
But you get a feeling, listen to that radio transmission, he feels like maybe Hornish got into him a little bit. I think when he sees the replay, he'll certainly see it differently.
That car gets close behind you, and the air moves around. It's like a hand reaches out, just helps you sideways.
I always said if you can touch one of these things in the middle of the corner, you can spin it out.
Now, it's easier than ever to follow your driver's every move on the track with the new look NASCAR.com Race View. Live in-car audio for every driver, real-time race statistics, and you can watch up to 3 different virtual camera angles. Get started at NASCAR.com/raceview now.
I know where it's going to be moving around now, Krista, right down there on pit road.
You know it, Larry Mack. Casey Kane said the change made the back end of his car better, but tightened the front end up too much. They are reversing the change they made. First it was wedge in, so now they'll go wedge out. Dick.
Kyle Busch slid over the line in the front of his pit box. He had to back up. That will cost him dearly. He was running 4th before this round. Steve.
Jimmy Johnson in the bottom of the left of your screen says, go back to where we were. I'm twitchy and loose. A.J. Allmendinger says the front end turning better, Matt.
Close to the wall for Kurt Busch, but still his Jackman was able to get the car up on the left side. No changes for the Blue Deuce.
Busch and Allmendinger come out where they started. A gain for Casey Kane.
See, Kyle Busch lost 6 spots, and we'll see why. Dick Berger just talked about it. Just sliding through those pits, you can see the front tires locked up. Jeff Hammond, one of his keys in the pre-race, solid pit stops. That includes what the driver does.
I've seen that over and over and over again down here. And if you just look at the pit boxes themselves, this is all oil and dirt and everything. I tell you what I'd have done, Mike, Larry, if I knew what pit box I was going to have.
You'd have power washed.
I'd have got me a power wash, and I'd have washed that bad boy. I'd have put me some Tide on it and washed her out. Look at that. That's slick.
Matt Kenseth, defending champion of the Daytona 500, is posted first across the line last time by. Daytona 500, 69 laps complete. Kurt Busch is the leader. His younger brother Kyle, by sliding through his pit, lost about 4 seconds on that stop. Here it is from his onboard camera. The tires lock up. You cannot make
the back, push your back. Stop, okay?
You have to go back behind the white line to make that pit stop, or you get a penalty. Now let's show you the difference in what it means between the 2 Busch brothers stops, including pushing the car back by the line. That's about almost a 4-second difference. Kyle Busch came into the pits in 4th position. He came out 10th.
A little bit is so much. The competition's about as tough, if not tougher on pit road as it is out there on that racetrack.
But if you're going to mess up, it's a good time to mess up. Do it early. Get it out of the way.
Darrell, perhaps one difference. One reason these cars get a bit strung out, it's warmer than it's been all week. The sun hasn't been out much all week. And you should hear what the drivers are talking about. Let's listen.
I feel like I need more grip with the front end for the center of the corner. Seems to be handling with less, like it's got less grip this run. I got no grip. They're just driving around me.
Drivers are always griping about the grip. I don't know why that is.
Well, Thursday in the second qualifying race, it had cooled down. There wasn't any sun, and everybody said, boy, track's got great grip.
Yeah, yesterday morning. Remember how cold it was here yesterday morning in our final practice? I mean, this is the hottest conditions we've had.
And one thing they'd love to do is what Jeff Hammond showed a while ago in the Hollywood Hotel, is put some tape on that nose. That'll give the front tires more grip, because as hot as it is, you can't, because you have to have more air flowing to cool the water in the radiator.
We'll see somebody slide on the back of these things for long just over rear shocks.
36 cars on the lead lap. Back under green, Busch and Allmendinger, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex.